Okay, good day, everybody, on this beautiful day 3 of EmblemCon. How's everybody doing today? Well, first thing, not first thing in the morning, but still pretty early. Um, we've got Sobmik doing an interesting panel on the history of the International Fire Emblem fandom. Hello, Sobmik. How are you doing today?
Hello, Bart. I am doing very fine. And I hope Jet is also doing very fine.
Well, I hope
So,
so. It's bright and early, but you know what? At least where I am, it's a beautiful day, so I'm not complaining.
same over here. So,
That's all we can
can
ask
I
for.
ask? Definitely. And also, I want to ask you and the chat, are you all ready?
Oh, I'm so ready to hear about this. I've been in the I've been basically playing Fire Emblem since like it came out in the West, so like 2003ish. But like I never took part in any of the like fandom areas. I don't think so. This will be super cool for me to check out. So I'll be learning a lot today.
Oh, yeah, excellent. Because that is going to be a lot of the focus on today's panel.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because I am ready and reliable to take you on this journey back in time about the history of the non-Japanese side of the Fire Emblem fandom. And during this panel, we are going to discuss first a little introduction, and then we'll be going by decade. It can be sort of sorted into GBA and GameCube, then 3DS years with Fate's Awakening, and then uh, this decade with the fandom now. And also a little bit of a word at the end. Well, since the fandom is going back so far, the screenshots will be presented as is. There may be people have changed their names and identities since then. They may be shown there, but I won't mention them.
Okay, well, take it away.
Well, then let's start with the introduction. Fire Emblem as a series has been out for a while. I mean, 3 weeks ago, Fire Emblem, the whole series, has turned 36, and it's been also over 23 years since the release of the Blazing Blade here in our regions, in North America and Europe and elsewhere. And also, Fortune Sweep is coming soon. So, some of you might ask, what was the fandom like? How did it form? How were the people for all this time until now? Well, as some of you may know or not know, the rough timeline goes from Fez to Serenus Forest to Reddit, but if you dig deeper, there's still a lot more. So let's go to the 2000s right away. The GBA and the GameCube years. So in the beginning, there was game FAQs. A lot of fandoms from the 90s started there on that site, since it is pretty much the game guide site back then, and it's still in a lot of ways now. And one of its special things is that every single game had a discussion board. So the discussion boards for the Fire Emblem games heard rumors of Fire Emblem Binding Blade for the GBA coming out, and also that it might be localized for the West. I'm saying Fire Emblem Binding Blade, but back in the day it was called the Sword of Seals. So the board members first made a forum called the Sword of Seals, or as it's subtitled, the Mamcute, the Manakim from 20,000 Fathoms, with Faye as its mascot. Well, after Binding Blade was released and any talks of localization fell through, the site was renamed, but the acronym was kept. From Sword of Seals, it became Fire Emblem: The Sanctuary of Strategy. And it was the go-to Fire Emblem community from 2002 2002, 2008. Yeah, it was the go-to fandom hub, but of course it wasn't the only Fire Emblem forum around at that time. There was a lot more. So there was a sort of fandom triumvirate with FES as the community hub, Fire Emblem Planet as the graphics hub. So you had to go there for sprites and other graphics instead of the sprites resource, and Fire Emblem Fusion as the information hub. Although FES was seen as the civil forums out of the three, as there was a lot of drama and name calling and infighting on the others, and a lot of it was done by the FES staff to keep it civil, but there was one name in particular who headed all of it. He was the first head of staff after the actual founders of FES. His name was Superbus. Well, he could be called the central figure of this decade. He was the head admin from around 2004 to 2005, and still had a supervisory role until its closure. And Superbus had a fitting resume for administration. He was an army veteran, so he was well traveled. He had experience as a system admin, so he knew how to keep the forum safe from hackers. And he was also a sports coach, so he knew how to be supportive for the rest of the forums, but also stern and encouraging. And as he was strict and encouraging, there were a lot of very strict policies and enforcement of them. Well, strict compared to today, and that's why he had that particular member title, and that's why he was back then seen as a stronger, stern, older brother type back then, and his reputation was disputed by the forums after. But it's also something that Superbus admitted about a decade later. And with the years, other sites were forming, other than the triumvirate, as they were covering the niches the other three didn't. Like fan sites in other languages, other than English. There's like the German big fan site, fireemblem.de, Sword of Seals. And as like with a lot of the other sites back then, its founders also frequented FES. They were FES regulars, like Totsuki over there. You could say, well, the name Sword of Seals is not as much a reference to the original name for FES as much as that Binding Blade was his favorite, or still is. There's also Fire Emblem World, the first truly comprehensible information hub, and so comprehensible that it is still very, very much relevant today. And these other sites were also fighting to become the next community hub, as the population on FES was declining, as FES was waning. The final straw was a staff incident, as a divisive staff member was demoted. But as everyone went away to do their jobs, one friend of theirs promoted that divisive member back, and those two started tearing down the forum one by one. One step at a time. But as soon as the rest of the staff got wind of it, they got IP banned, so they couldn't ever come back again. The forum got thankfully undeleted. However, the damage was already done, and so about a year later, after that incident happened, it was declared that FES was to be closed. So, with all of the fandom triumvirate descending into drama, the way was paved for the next Fire Emblem fandom hub. As Superbus declared that all members who still want to discuss about Fire Emblem were to move to Serenus Forest. So that's how we go to the next chapter, the 2010s, the DS, Wii, and 3DS years. So Serenus Forest actually existed a lot longer because FES closed. And of course, like with the size previously talked about, its main founder, Vincent ASM, was also a FES regular. And Serenus Forest is still the biggest independent Fire Emblem fan site today. Not tied to any other site, not tied to any wiki, not sponsored by any of the big news sites. So there's still that Serenus Forest is still the biggest information hub that isn't tied anywhere else. And its founder, Vincent ASM, tended to the website matters, while others took responsibility of the forums. So as Vincent himself also talked about, Serenus started as a personal website for his own little game project that eventually turned into a Fire Emblem database because he was researching things for his own little game and looked for other strategy games such as Fire Emblem. And that was around the time when there was a lot of demand for Sacred Stones info that he gathered. So, but also at the same time, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance came out, and its direct sequel, Radiant Dawn, was also on the horizon. So that's why the site today is called Serenus Forest. Yeah, the forums, and eventually the forums were founded on January of 2008. They were made to be an extension of the site at first. That means a lot of people who didn't know the community back then, who were new to the fandom, were joining in. And as such, when the declaration was made that FES was to move to Serenus, a huge flame war arose. So people were invading each other's threads left and right. There was a lot of name calling, a lot of name blaming. But thankfully, after a few months or so, the flame war eventually died down. Those who stayed there mingled with each other, and more members were joining in nonetheless. In fact, the current Serenus Forest forum staff are majorly joiners after that particular flame war. They joined in like late 2008 or early 09 or so. Well, amongst other sites that were created at that same time is Fire Emblem Universe as the resident modding hub. Still today, it was also founded around that time, and the infamous Fire Emblem ROM hack, The Last Promise, which was also the very first full mod, by the way. That wasn't just character swaps or little custom animations or new items. It began as a Fire Emblem Universe community project. It was originally called Tactics Universe before its main hacker, Blazer, took it upon himself to finish it into The Last Promise we know today. And as such, Blazer was also the lead director for the new Mystery of the Emblem fan translation. So let's get to other notable parts of the Fire Emblem fandom now, like its chat rooms and other subcommunities. Like for Serenus Forest, and first before that, it was communicated via Internet Relay Chat, or IRC. You can tell how it was like it looked like that. It was not tied to a certain client like Discord today. That isn't the exact Serenus first chat room. This is here for visualization. Well, but it existed as a sort of parallel community to the forums, as it housed a lot of members who were outright banned, and it was also a place where mods and admins and other forum staff went there looking to vent. And as you can see from the screenshot here, the main rule was there are no rules. So that's why eventually the Serenus Forest forums introduced an in-forum chat called colloquially the IP chat. This also isn't how it looked like on Serenus. This is also for visualization. And that chat was made to get things more in line. And the current Serenus Forest Discord is the successor to that in-forum chat. There was also an attempt to create a Serenus Forest Skype group. Since it housed many of the internet relay chat regulars, it could be seen as a successor of sorts to that. And it was called the Skype Party because indeed there were talks held at least once every week. And from all these communities and chat groups, there are also a lot of other splinter groups. Let's just say, if you have your own Discord server for just a few of your friends to hang around, you can surely think that everyone else does too. Let's get to another notable part of the Fire Emblem fandom. It's very highly developed spam culture. It originally started with the spam boards. Fast back then had the craziness domain, and Serenus Forest has Far From the Forest. And they were by far the most active part of each forum. So active in fact that for a long time, your post there didn't even count to your total post count. And it is also likely what kept the fandom alive in the early 2010s, in the time between Shadow Dragon and New Mystery and Radiant Dawn, and before Awakening came out. Those spam forums also had their dedicated hangout threads, like the FE4 thread. They more or less acted as mini boards, which also housed a lot of users who only exclusively posted there. The spam culture, of course, is still deeply ingrained in our fandom, with community boards such as r/should-post-emblem, and with all our favorite Fire Emblem shitposters, our X-Emblems, our Bismixes, our FEMS paints, even if a lot of them don't even really do such content anymore. Nonetheless, it is still being highly developed today, and it's all because of the deeply seated roots even back in the 2000s. So now we are getting to the time when Fire Emblem Awakening was released. It broke sales records then. It was the first Fire Emblem page. It was the first Fire Emblem game to sell over 1 million. And to get to such numbers, compromises and concessions had to be made to attract a new audience. And that's while the game boomed, there was also, with the newcomer boom, a new fandom split. However, please be mindful that a lot of that discourse was mostly online. Those playing and enjoying Fire Emblem Awakening were mostly unaware, mostly playing for themselves, and those who were discussing it online were discussing it elsewhere, as the entire landscape of the internet, how it is used for communities, was changing. And that's how we are getting to the fandom now. Faith, Three Houses, and beyond. So, you could say that the fandom has diversified, heterogenized, branched out. Whatever word you can look for it, the fandom is now spread across all kinds of sites and platforms. You could more or less divide it into 3 categories: social media, wikis, and others. But with how branched out it all is, this is also more or less an estimation. Nonetheless, there are still a lot of cross-community projects, like the Fire Emblem Compendium, where the entire fandom was called to create one artwork for each single character that has been in Fire Emblem until now. So it was like over 700 drawings from over 700 users across the entire fandom. And we can even see at EmblemCon how far the fandom has diversified, with a lot of panels covering a lot of fields, from analysis over cosplay, music arrangements, about fan games, how to do art, how to do pixel art, and even merchandise, party games, and lots more. So that's the part where Fire Emblem Three Houses released in 2019. It is still the best-selling Fire Emblem to date. However, a lot of the oldies in particular might be asking, well, if it sold so much, then why didn't hear much of anything except maybe the discourse? Well, that is because everyone at that point was enjoying Fire Emblem on their own terms. They all had their own little groups until then, where they can discuss about whichever Fire Emblem they like. There was no central discussion hub. And also, when Pokemon Sword and Shield was released, the Fire Emblem fandom lost its divided status overnight. People who were in both fandoms, and there's a lot of overlap, seeing as it both are numbers-based RPGs with lots and lots of characters. Plenty of them said it was like a fandom freaky Friday. The shift happened practically overnight. So r/Fire Emblem might be the fandom hub today, but there's no central figure nowadays to rally behind, like Superbus or even Vincent back in the day. EmblemCon might be another hub on its way to become one. I think so. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made this panel today. A lot of notable names are still around. You could basically say anyone who's still active in the Fire Emblem fandom and 30 years old or more, rather in their mid-30s, you can practically say they're from Fez or Serenus, probably both. Many of these people post often still, arguably more elsewhere than on their own sites. And a lot of the retired staff applied the knowledge and skills they learned from the fandom and community work to become coaches, teachers, or even becoming part of their town councils. So, with all that said, we can now come to the conclusion that Fire Emblem as a series itself is still going strong, as even the divisive games in the series, like Engage and especially Effie Shadows, still got over 1 million sales or downloads each. So the series itself is robust. And as for the fandom, I would also say it's still robust, because after all the infighting, all the splitting up, all the branching out, after everything, the fandom itself is also growing very strong. And that shows how great Fire Emblem as a series overall is, not just in the games, but also in the fans. And that's how the fandom could create this huge tree that is called the Fire Emblem Fandom. Remember, we are all on the same boat, we are all in this together. And that's why let's take a minute and give respect to the roots one last time. All right, the minute should be over by now. So I wanted to spotlight a few sources. For one, there's an article about the entire history of FES, the Sanctuary of Strategy, that was lost to times, but one user on Reddit thankfully retrieved it via the Wayback Machine. And another source is also my own experience, as I've been a Fire Emblem fan since its international debut. As you can see by the dilapidated box up there, here's also my fan shelf for posterity. And I've had my full online presence since about 2007. This is also part of my current web anniversary. Did you young folks know that in its first few years of YouTube poop, Path of Radiance was also a big part of it? Well, now you do. The tree image and the sources I use for this presentation will be available soon. After this presentation is over, it will be posted on the Discord. And with that, I wanted to say thank you first to Bart for hosting this presentation. Thank you to V and Oke for supervising it and looking over it. Thank you to Pixabay for being a great resource for free music, and also for Masahiro Sakurai for creating a splendid template on how to do presentations. And also, of course, thank you to all you numerous viewers and attendees at EmblemCon who showed up for the convention and also showed up for the panel. And with that, this presentation is now over. Do you all have any questions?
Yeah, any questions or comments? I see Brett Charmer in the chat for Twitch is going like, thanks for the blast from past. Because like this is going back to the very beginnings of the Fire Emblem fandom lore and the beginnings.
Yeah, definitely. There's still a few more things that reach further back, but I didn't want to go too deep into that, as I was fearing that would break the scope of the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also a bit from before my time, but if you want, I can also ramble a bit about that.
I mean, I think we got a little bit of time, so if you want, we're good.
Sure. So so basically, a lot of the Western fandom revolved around Joktrol, basically. The internet, as we know it, with its message boards, was around like 1998, more or less. So Thracia wasn't even out. So the only two games that the Western fandom basically played were Mystery of the Emblem and Genealogy. And Genealogy took the bigger part of the discussion. There was also a lot of shipping discussion, but it wasn't so separated into shipping and gameplay as it is today. However, there was a certain love triangle that was discussed a lot about. It's the Lachesis love triangle. So Lachesis, Beowulf, and Finn. And back in the day, Beowulf was the less popular one in the fandom by far, because someone who knew Japanese played through the chapter 5 conversation near the climax of the game and said, well, Beowulf sounds kind of like an a-hole. And a lot of the fandom rallied behind it, and they started doing a meme called Beo Killing, where they would draw fan art where Beowulf dies increasingly cartoonishly gruesome deaths. So think like Wile E. Coyote or Happy Tree Friends, except it was done to Beowulf. And well, that was also a big part of contention in the Japanese fandom as well. As you know, Thracia's, or may not know, it's Midquill Thracia 776 introduced both Fergus and Darmuid as sons from different fathers to quell that shipping argument down.
So we do have a couple of questions in the chat there. Breaded Charmer is asking, how did you feel when FE became more mainstream? Did you feel taken aback hearing the name? Like, have you heard like someone talking about Fire Emblem in public?
Yeah, personally, I thought it was very good. It was very good that Fire Emblem got out into the mainstream, and that we've had new people at the time. Because you also have to remember, as I talked about in a previous slide, the popularity was waning with it was visible that Radiant Dawn and Shadow Dragon was underperforming. All we've had was basically memes and shitposts to keep us afloat. There are also a lot of splitter communities where people branched out, not just the FE4 thread, but also entire forums. You could tell that the fandom was waning, so I'm very thankful for lots of the refreshment and for the fresh blood.
Okay, okay. So the next question we have is from Pamuya Blue. Did you find out anything about on the creative side of fandom, like Zines?
Well, there were fan art and fan fiction boards back then, but for the most part, well, in my experience and from what I've researched, there's going to be a fan fiction panel later. Please check that out too. I'm sure the panelists there will be able to give you a more detailed answer. Well, so back then a lot of it was contained to the forums themselves, but there are still the main art and fanfiction sites like DeviantArt and
We got
fanfiction.net. Yeah.
We have Anto Games in the panel room 2 chat going asking did Smash Bros have a few okay, hang on here. Okay, so the question is, Anto Games is currently rephrasing. Sorry, just give me a second. I want to say the question is somewhere along the lines of like, did Smash Bros make a kind of like increase the numbers of the fan base, or like basically how many people? Okay, yeah. So how many people like joined the series? Like, did the fan base get bigger with Smash Bros? Basically, because Smash Bros was more so the first introduction to the West because it came out even before FE7, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was even supposed to. It even came out before FE6, the Binding Blade, to promote Roy. Just a few months before, but yeah, I can. The short answer is yes. The long answer is very yes. The detailed answer is basically everyone who joined with Blazing Blade joined because of Smash Brothers. So myself included. I got the game introduced to a friend. he told me there's this game on Game Boy. It's called Fire Emblem, and it has the dads of Roy and Marv. So yeah, basically that's how I checked it out, and I also knew from Roy and Marv through Melee. Back then, I checked out the official website for Smash Bros. Melee if I've missed any characters, and then I first saw Marv, and I was like, oh my gosh, he looks so cool! I need to unlock him right now. So yeah, definitely, you could count practically on one or two hands when Blazing Blade came out who didn't join because of Smash Brothers. There are also a lot of threads back in the day, back on Fez, called are there Marv and Roy in this game? To the point that it was a fandom meme, a fandom in-joke, that there's gonna be, that somebody eventually is gonna ask if one of these games has Marv and Roy in it. Well, and I could also say in relation to the newbie booms with Awakening and Three Houses that thankfully died down with them. Since at that point, and with FF Heroes, not to forget, that people understood that there's lots of games with their separate stories, separate timelines in quotation marks. That, yeah.
My question is, when are we gonna get like Alphonse or Sharena in Smash? Like, come on. Let's get Sharena with a lance in Smash. It'd be fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. Also, at the moment, it really seems like the rep is always from the latest game, right? So,
Yeah.
well, so yeah, that was like even back then with Roy, and Binding Blade didn't even come out. Corrin, when Fates didn't come out in English yet, of course, Byleth, where Sakurai himself even admitted that he had to play a release build to get his moves down, to get his research down.
Yeah, I always found it funny
So,
how like when it came to Smash Bros. Melee, it's like, yeah, Fire Emblem's not even out yet, and instead of like promoting like the FE7 like potential characters, kind of like a teaser, it's like there's Roy at the end of the game. He's small, but he's there.
yeah, he's small and he's there, and his sword can shoot flames. Yay!
Yeah, like
And
you would
yeah,
think like
and
they would have done like Hector or something for Smash Bros, but it's like Martha and Roy. Their games are not out in the West, and you won't see them for a while, but they're there.
yeah, to the point Melee wasn't even supposed to have them over there, but yeah, I can say that I'm very, very thankful that we got them after all.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and also to go back to, yeah, I wish that Alphonse and Sharina would make it. At least we got FE Heroes music in Ultimate, and also
True.
Kai is using a lance, right? From Fortune's Weave.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
So let's hope that if there's gonna be a new Fire Emblem rep, that it's gonna be Kai.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's both.
That'd be interesting.
He has both. Mm-hmm. I definitely would like to see a bird-based fighter.
Oh yeah, that'd be
that
fun.
Well, I mean, technically there's Kazooie and Falco, but
I mean, if
yeah.
the corns can transform into dragons, then like Kai has to be like riding a bird. Like I don't know how that would work in Smash, but it'd be so funny. Like when he's instead of doing like a quick dash or like a max speed run, he just like magically pops out a bird and run.
Oh
so
yeah,
funny.
I want to see that definitely. Or as a special move or dash attack that normally Kai runs around on foot, but with the attack suddenly the bird appears and just dashes through everyone. Oh yeah, we can play Joust and Smash. Finally.
Yes. Banjo shadow character. Yeah, that would be pretty fun though. I'm looking forward to see like I want more Smash. Like I want a new Smash Bros. Game. I need more information about Fortune's Weave. Like, why are we keep being kept in the dark for so long? Just give us something, anything, please.
Yes, please.
Like, it's been so long.
If you,
We've had radio silence. We need something.
we've had radio silence on anything except Star Fox, but please give us the rest of the year. Please give us Fortune's Weave.
Yes. So Smeesher? Smeesher. That's what I'm going with. Is asking, have you seen any, like, interesting differences between the Japanese fandom and the Western one? Like, with story or gameplay opinions?
For the on the gameplay side of things, the GBA Link Arena was had uh, allegedly a pretty big community in Japan, and that's why a lot of the tier lists over there are more based on the Link arenas instead of how they perform in single player low turn.
Oh, so
And
like when they're
as
like
for the
rating characters, it's like, oh, this one's a 5. Not because it's necessarily like amazing in the game, like during the game itself, but like the Link Arena was really good with this character, so they're 5.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's interesting. I did not know about that. I keep forgetting Link Arena's a thing because I'm like, I my city was small, so like growing up, I had like no people to talk Fire Emblem with, so that means also no Link Arena. So I forgot that existed.
Yeah, I also only did duels against myself, and my team names were all edgy because I was an edgy teenager back then.
Oh, here's a bit of a fun fact.
Uh,
I actually basically like when I was in like elementary and middle school, I was kind of like somewhat praised for my math skills, and quite literally, that's just because
mhm.
of Fire Emblem. Like literally, because let's see,
Yeah.
I was like 8 or 9, and I was like, okay, so if I have this much percentage hit, the enemy has this much HP, I'm dealing this much damage, I got this percentage of a crit, can I kill him? It was like constantly thinking like that, right? So I was like, I credit FE7 like greatly to like my schoolwork and kind of like made me who I am today. So like the Fire Emblem as a whole means a lot to me throughout the years. So I'm very, very, very pleased to see that it's still going on, even though we had a little bit of a rough patch for a little bit. But
Yeah, that
the community for this series is absolutely fantastic. Like I that's what makes EmblemCon so amazing is because it's like without as many
yeah,
fans,
true.
like without as many yeah, without as many
Yeah.
attendees, it would just be like a group of people just talking about stuff just for fun. I always like to think that it's the community, not the figureheads that make the whole shtick move, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, that the community is much more than just the forums and chats and communities that have been covered today.
Yeah,
Also,
exactly. Like it's like Fire Emblem's come so far in like just the what 23 years since it came out in the West. Like it's gone insane. Like Awakening really pushed the boundaries and cracked open the gates, and then Three Houses literally just like what gates released a river. It's amazing to see how
yeah, yeah,
far
they did.
this community's
Yeah.
come, and I'm excited to see how far we'll go in the future.
Oh, definitely, especially since Fortune 3 was an event closer for the last Nintendo Direct. So
Yes.
I'd say, yeah, so Nintendo definitely sees that. And there's also a podcast called Kit and Krista that's
Mm.
led by former heads of marketing for Nintendo of America.
Okay.
And yeah, and they both also corroborated that Awakening definitely saved the series and saved the 3DS.
Oh, 100%. Like Awakening did crazy good. And there's a lot of callbacks to like the
Mm,
past with Awakening too that I like, and yeah, it's so cool.
yeah, Yeah, and a lot of subtle ones. Yeah, I remembered arguing with a friend why aren't the for the sport pass characters their units not called by their name, even though you can tell like with Flynn that this one's nephew, these ones are kind of insane,
Yeah, it's
and so on.
I don't know. I'm just so happy to be able to just be chatting about Fire Emblem in general. Like this is such a good series. I love it so much. Like for reference,
Same.
I stopped playing the Pokemon games, but I will still play Fire Emblem. That says something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for me too. Even though I've kind of come back to Pokemon again, but
Mhm.
also yeah. But back in the day when Pokemon was kind of falling out of style back in the mid 2000s, I just yeah swung over to Fire Emblem for the RPG for the numbers-based RPG with lots and lots of characters.
Mm.
And that time it wasn't just cute little monsters, but yeah humans with their own backstories and emotions.
Okay, we got a whole lot of questions that popped up in the text chat here.
Hmm.
John's wondering if there's any characters or support conversations from the series that you can like relate to on like a personal level.
Uh, yeah, basically that was awakening for me. That's why I didn't understand back in the fandom split that people were saying that there are a lot of one-note characters who don't do much, even though it's like that they're one-note at first, but once you read the supports, once you get them better, there's a lot of depth about them. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like with I felt that with uh, Inigo especially, that on the surface he's just this ladies man, but in actuality he's a very insecure person who tries to be secure and doesn't quite know how to be secure because at least one of his parents were also very insecure.
Yeah,
And
that's
I would
fair.
say,
Awakening did a good job, like kind of fleshing out characters in the like in the later supports, and be like, there's more to them than you think. You just gotta wait a little bit, you know. Like
exactly.
I enjoyed Awakening too. It's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Like there were well a lot of limitations with how unlimited Awakening was with the support.
Mm-hmm.
That they still kind of had to roll back their development a bit with each AOS support. But in the bigger picture, say that yeah, they would say that yeah, later games, not just in Fire Emblem, also did these characters a bit more in depth. Like, well, personally, I'm still more of I like Inigo more, but Sylvain also had very good development
Mm-hmm.
with that kind of character, and also Thancred from Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah. Mega asks an interesting question. They don't know if you answered this already, but what was the Western fandom like prior to like FE6, like in the 90s? I'm like, would there have been much of a fandom back then? Because like the fandom was more so
Apparent,
like
yeah.
developed, like it really started picking off like FE7. But like, was there much of a Western fandom like FE6 and prior?
Well, as much as there could be in the internet of the 90s. Well, I mean, if there wasn't a fandom back then, there wouldn't have been people to rally together and found a central Fire Emblem site. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and also that's also the part that I talked about that the Western fandom only played Mystery of the Emblem and Genealogy back then, and that there was lots of arguing about Lachesis and her two most popular choices. Yeah.
Okay.
Although that one article with the birth of Fez also goes down a bit more into detail. So there's that too.
Okay. I don't see any other questions in the chats at the moment.
There was one in Twitch chat that asked if Three Houses was the perfect storm.
It really was because like I said, Awakening kind of
Yeah.
like. So I like to think of the like Awakening and Three Houses kind of like K-pop, right? Where it's like Awakening is like Gangnam Style, and then like
Mm-hmm.
Three Houses is like Blackpink, BTS, and all that, right? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
Awakening kind of like opened up in the kind of like let the kind of open up the cracks of getting mainstream, and then like Three Houses just like burst in. Wandering Minds is a great comparison. I'm like, right? That's basically what happened. Because like I think Three Houses has like the most people entered via Three Houses. I want to say like Three Houses just like, exploded Fire Emblem popularity.
Yeah, and also the success of the Nintendo Switch also definitely
Oh yeah,
contributed to that. Yeah,
yeah. It was
with
like
how
everything worked perfectly for Three Houses to do well. It was fantastic.
it really was just everything being put perfectly into line, and also 2020 that also probably put in a little bit of that as well.
Which Fire Emblem is what? What does the fox say? Oh boy. Let's
Right?
see. Fate. Yes, I like that. Because I feel like that song's either you love it or you hate it. There's no in between. I feel like Fate's is the same kind of thing. You either hate it or you love it. I like that answer. That's a good answer. The game doesn't ask. Like,
Ends up being halved. Oh,
yeah, like I think like I could see Fates is kind of like the where like in the beginning people are like, okay, this is kind of like like there's lots more complaints, and then as time goes on they're like, okay, the gameplay is actually like solid at parts. There's actually like some really good stuff about Fates. Yeah, it's kind of like looking back at what does the fox say, you know?
yeah. And he had a lot more to say than just Kitsune Hell.
Actually, actually, I just thought of that. So like the kitsunes are basically foxes, right?
Yeah, so
So what does Caden say? I feel like there should be on. I feel like there's gonna be like a pop up on the if the some Reddit is gonna say something about this panel now. I feel like
I'm looking forward to it.
it'd be interesting. There's gonna be some meme or something created. I know it. Caden would dominate that stage, right? But chat, is there anything else that you'd like to ask or? Yeah, I absolutely appreciate you doing this panel. It's been quite enlightening because I've been playing for a while, but I haven't really been around in the community for a while for that long. So, do you guys think Fortune's Weave could be as popular as Three Houses? Honestly, probably because we know it's linked to Three Houses in some way with Sothis, right? There's some kind of connection there. We don't know what it is because we don't have information, but it has the potential if it's like look at what happens with Fey banners, right? If it's Three Houses, it's a good month. So if it has some kind of like connection, and there is connections to the three houses, of course, with a few different areas. So it because it's adjacent and because it's a mainline game, not Three Hopes, it should do well. Not dissing Three Hopes. I'm just saying that it's not mainline and it's not everyone's style. But this game is gonna be more people's style, so it should do pretty solid, I think. Yeah, Benza, I hear ya. I was originally thinking like I'm not gonna get a Switch 2. Like I will not touch the thing until a new Fire Emblem game is announced, and it's like, oh well, I guess I need a Switch 2 now. I'm not excited about that because that's a lot of money. But I said it, and I gotta stick to it.
Yeah, I got it a bit prematurely when because my Switch One was slowly waning away, and also because Kirby Air Riders. So let's post that one Sakurai GIF in Discord chat again.
Mm. Yeah. We do have a couple more minutes. I bet you ain't get a Switch 2. Yeah, right. I'm gonna have to as well. Let's hope tables get tabled. No, I suppose. Same, I gotta get it. Yeah, I just hope there's like a special edition or something for like Fortune's Weave. It should be very, very entertaining. But yeah, I don't know if you're. Is there anything you'd like to add there, Sopnik?
Well, not much beyond. Thank you again for coming, and also I'll be around all con on Discord especially. So yeah, if you wanna talk, then uh, reach out to me anytime.
Yeah. Basically, Sopmix is saying like, hey, if you want to reach out and chit chat, then Sopmix more than happy to, which is what I like to hear. I'm a talker, so this is good for me too. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, the panel. Thank you, Sobmic, for doing this. It was very enlightening and very, very, very interesting. Like I said, I learned a lot, and I like the panels where I learn a lot, so it's always good for me to know a little bit more about the series that I love. And yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed. Get ready for the next panel. It'll be a cosplay panel with Lua von Pressfeld getting ready as Bernadetta. So it should be fun. I do enjoy the cosplay panels as well. I'm actually like going to be streaming a couple of them today and tomorrow, but not this next one though. But yeah, I love doing these. I'm always happy to chit chat with people. Get to chit chat with new people is always good. So thank you guys for stopping by, and yeah, we hope you enjoy the rest of the convention, and we'll see you for the next panel. See you, everybody.
See ya.